Myths and legends are turning Edinburgh's oldest buildings into a jewel box of dazzling lights and colors.
Edinburgh Castle, the former home of the Scottish royalty, built on an extinct volcano, is transformed into a castle of light. Stories of ancient heroes, myths, and legends are projected and occasionally wakes up to spew fire. The whole display took 6 months to plan and create. So far, 20,000 tickets for the Castle of Light have been sold. It opened to the public today and runs for the next 6 weeks. This is spectacular.
Great idea. Yeah.
It's so neat. All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, at least 2 students are dead after a shooting at a California high school. We'll tell you what witnesses are saying.
We'll hear from a Madison woman who says flags outside of her home were vandalized and the side of her house was spray painted.
Plus, one community in Madison has a unique strategy to prepare for the 2020 census. I'll tell you what it is.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
Thanks for staying with us at 5, everyone. At least 2 people have died. 3 others are injured after a shooting at a high school north of Los Angeles.
And police say 2 of the victims who were killed have been identified as a 14-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl. The suspected gunman has been identified as Nathaniel Burhow. He was brought to the hospital in grave condition. In the minutes after the shooting, students were treated in the school's courtyard while deputies evacuated the campus.
It was terrifying, and not knowing, what was happening, not hearing from your child. It's the most terrifying thing in the whole world.
I was coming out of my house to go get my coffee, and I saw all kinds of kids running up the street, screaming, crying, yelling.
Police say the suspect's mother and girlfriend have been brought in for questioning. Right now, authorities are still trying to determine a motive for that shooting. That incident happened in the hometown of Brewers second baseman Keston Hura, who just graduated from high school in that area 4 years ago. He's reacting to the shooting in his hometown, tweeting, quote, "Prayers go out to the students and families affected by the shooting. Be safe, everyone. Scary times we live in."
Police are looking for the person or persons responsible for vandalizing a woman's home on Veterans Day.
And Jamie Perez has a look at the damage and why the woman says she felt it was a personal attack on her beliefs. Jamie.
Not only was this woman's home vandalized with graffiti that says, quote, "Make a racist son," but she also said the American flag and Trump flag that she had hanging outside of her home were shredded apart on Veterans Day. She showed us what was left of those 2 flags today, and she lives along East Washington Avenue, so she said she was shocked that someone would do this on such a busy street that's lit so well. But she said that she's asked her neighbors if they saw anything or if anyone had any surveillance video, but no one does. And she told me today that she actually understands the Trump flag being vandalized, but is really more upset that they shredded her American flag.
So many people have died for that flag, and it just meant nothing to them to shred it. And that's what breaks my heart, that it means nothing to you. And it's just like, I don't understand where that logic is, because everyone in every family that I know has somebody that's served or is currently serving. And we are so appreciative of those men and women. And you just made a statement that that means nothing to you.
She said ever since sharing her experience through a Facebook video, she's had people from all over offering to send her some new flags, a Ring doorbell, and to redo the side of her home that was vandalized with graffiti. If you have any information or saw this happening, you are asked to call Madison Area Crime Stoppers.
All right, Jamie, thank you. A man who was found dead this week in Juneau County died from blunt force trauma. The Juneau County Sheriff's Office says 26-year-old Jason Daly of Necedah was found dead Tuesday morning. Deputies went to a home responding to a request to check Daly's welfare. The sheriff's office says Daly's significant other, a 27-year-old woman, was taken into custody on a probation hold. The sheriff's office says additional charges are anticipated against the woman, but did not specify those charges.
Cloudy and cool out there across southern Wisconsin. Gary, the clouds could play a role in a bit of a warm-up, right?
Yeah, well, once we get rid of them, our temperatures will actually warm up. Today, the cloud cover held in for much of the day, and that held temperatures down. You can see this on visible cloud track. We were cloudy for much of the day. Notice the clearing to the north and west. So La Crosse got into the sunshine much earlier this afternoon than Madison. And look at the difference it made in the high temperatures. La Crosse hit 34, Madison only 27, and that's just been within the last hour or two. So temperatures are about 5 to 10 degrees warmer where there was cloud cover. Now, those same clouds moving away will allow the heat to escape, and temperatures are about as cold in La Crosse as they are in Madison. We're 26 now in Madison. La Crosse only 2 degrees above us at 28. So as skies clear out by tomorrow morning, temperatures will be in the upper teens. Look for partly sunny skies tomorrow. That should bring high temperatures back into the middle 30s. Later on, I'll take a look at a forecast. It does include clouds for the weekend and maybe some precipitation, but 40s are still in the forecast for next week.
Okay, Gary, thank you. Madison police say they are looking for a group of teenagers involved in a carjacking on Madison's west side. Happened at High Point Road near the Marcus Point Cinema just before 9 last night. 60-year-old man says he was sitting in his car when 4 teen males threatened him with a knife and stole his car. That vehicle was found unoccupied a few blocks away. The trial to resolve a February homicide in the city of Beloit is now in its 4th day.
Today, Jacob Davenport's defense team began their case. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us now with more on their argument. Adam?
Yeah, well, Eric and Susan, Jacob Davenport and his defense attorney Michael Shannon Murphy are arguing that there's no way the person seen in security footage wearing a red hooded sweatshirt was him. Now, Davenport was accused of shooting and killing James Tompton of Janesville this past February. And the next day, police posted that security footage of that suspect in the red sweatshirt. However, today, the defense called an expert witness who says phone calls from Davenport place him away from the crime scene at the time the crime was committed.
But you testified earlier that that call was covered by Sector 2.
Yes.
Which leads you to believe what?
That he wasn't there.
I have nothing further for the witness.
Now, the defense also called Davenport's youngest son to the stand, who told the jurors that his father was taking him to a skating rink in Beloit around the time the crime was committed. Now, both sides are expected to make their closing arguments tomorrow, and the jury is expected to get the case.
Adam Duxter joining us, Rock County. Adam, thank you.
A Reedsburg man is charged after showing sexual videos to 2 young girls. 34-year-old David Kenyon is charged with 2 felony counts of exposing children to harmful materials. A criminal complaint says an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old told officers Kenyon made them watch the sexual video on a cell phone. Kenyon denied showing the girls the video.
Prosecutors say a discarded cigarette led to charges against a man accused in a fatal tavern shooting earlier this month in Neenah. Casey Cameron is charged with first-degree intentional homicide. Criminal complaint says Cameron entered the tavern with his face covered and ordered the bartender at gunpoint to fill a bag with cash. Kevin Hine followed him outside the bar and was fatally shot in the parking lot. Earlier this month, police followed Cameron based on a tip that he matched the description of the suspect. The officers saw him toss a cigarette butt out of his vehicle and stopped to collect it. Prosecutors say DNA on that cigarette matched DNA left at the crime scene.
The Dunn County Sheriff's Office says a deputy was helping a disabled vehicle on I-94 when it was rear-ended. Law enforcement say no one was hurt in the crash, but they're reminding drivers to move over or slow down if you see a stopped emergency or maintenance vehicle alongside the road.
An update now to a story we first brought you yesterday evening after Madison's City Council gave no money to the fire department for a new ambulance in the operating budget. Last night, Alders set aside money in the capital budget to make it happen. Now, that move did not include money to staff it, but it gives the fire department a new ambulance they can use to relieve older units. The chief tells us he hopes the council will vote next year to give them the staff they need to cover the area in need on the far southeast side. There's still nearly 5 months to go before you'll get an invite in the mail to take the 2020 census.
But as our Rose Schmidt explains, leaders on Madison's north side are already preparing. Rose?
Northside leaders are hiring a handful of workers at $15 an hour who will try to get their own neighbors to fill out the 10 questions on the census. That data helps determine how they're represented and helps them get federal money for housing, transportation, and other Northside services that they rely on.
It's a different feel from anywhere else that I've experienced in Madison.
Madison's North Side is a community Sharice Johnson is happy to help serve, working with about 70 families at the North Side Early Childhood Zone.
The North Side is really tight-knit, especially amongst families. There's generations of families.
Charisse is now taking on a new responsibility over the next 6 months, hoping to reach even more families.
So it just seemed like a really good fit. They're a face that I already know, and they know me as well. And so it's just good to be able to collaborate in that way.
She will oversee 4 to 6 outreach workers, whose job will be to get Northside neighbors to fill out their 2020 census forms. But that won't be an easy task, as the Northside has a number of pockets that are considered hard to count.
We find that lots of immigrants and people of color and low-income residents really struggle with trusting institutions. Census, along with all of the national hype and challenges around it, is just another manifestation of an institution.
Not to be confused with federal census employees, these local outreach workers will be hired by the Northside Planning Council at $15 an hour. They'll help plan community events, dinners, and meetings with the census in mind.
Our goal here is to really help ground the census in something that's familiar and local, with friendly faces attached to it.
The workers will show neighbors how to fill out the forms online in April and explain that the information is confidential and should be trusted, hoping to help benefit Northside families and generations to come.
For me, I see the census as an opportunity to kind of secure the Northside's future.
The outreach workers would work for 3 to 6 hours a week, and they're paid for through a city grant of $20,000. The deadline to apply is Monday.
All right, Rose, thank you. Many state agencies are coming together to discuss how to combat PFAS, which are chemicals found in drinking water. Officials from the state departments of Health Services, Revenue, and Transportation, among others, are part of a task force addressing the PFAS health and environmental concerns in Wisconsin.
We do have both lab data and health data on the fact that they can cause problems with people, thyroid issues, women of childbearing age and birth issues, low birth weight.
The task force is creating a plan of action that it plans on giving to the governor in June of 2020.
A Wisconsin milk processing facility is helping Madison food pantries. Kemp's teaming up with Roundy's to donate 28,000 servings of shelf-stable milk to Second Harvest Food Bank of Southern Wisconsin. These cartons are packed with 8 ounces of ultra-high temperature pasteurized milk, and that milk will have a shelf life of a year. That's compared to fresh milk you get at the store that only lasts about 3 weeks.
The Capital City Trail between Fish Hatchery Road and Seminole Highway is now open. Crews completed a 2-mile restoration and bridge replacement project along the trail. The restoration is part of a multi-phase project that will improve about 10 miles of the trail. The county has spent over $1.5 million on the restoration effort. They still have to finish the 3rd phase of the project, which will go from Seminole Highway to the bike roundabout, and that's expected to be complete in 2020.
More to come on News 3 Now at 5. Up next, customers in Madison are concerned. What's next from Market on the city's east side? We'll tell you what we've learned about the Jennifer Street Market.
And coming up tonight at 6, is the school bus that your child rides safe? We're investigating bus inspections coming up at 6.
And on Wall Street, the numbers in Thursday trading. The Dow falls less than 2. The NASDAQ off 3, while the S&P 500 gains 2.5. We'll be right back. Shep's Ice Cream filed for receivership. That's an alternative to bankruptcy.
Jennifer Street Market rents space from Shep's, leaving their current lease at risk. Gabriella Becerra is live tonight outside Jennifer Street Market with what's next for the local grocery store. Gabby?
Jennifer Street Market is a local grocery store in the Marquette neighborhood, and some customers are concerned with what could happen next to the store. Grocery store owner Steve McKenzie has a couple options, including moving the store to a different location or closing altogether. In an email, Alder Marsha Rummel said the neighborhood relies on Jennifer Street Market, At this point, she doesn't expect it to close, and she doesn't want to create fear. Tonight, Jennifer Street Market owner and neighbors are meeting at the Goodman Community Center to discuss possible options for what could happen next. I'll have more, including the outcome of that meeting, tonight at News 3 Now at 10.
We will see you then. Thanks, Gabriella.
Monroe Street is one of Madison's busiest routes, but businesses there say they are having some trouble getting some of the 20,000 people that pass through every day to stop by. 3 shops closed during the 10-month-long construction project last year, and 2 others opened and closed during that time. With Small Business Saturday 2 weeks away, shop and restaurant owners are hoping their special deals will help them rally. Ben Brady, co-owner and general manager of the restaurant Everly, says ebbs and flows are the nature of owning a business.
It really depends on who you talk to. I mean, obviously we have new businesses that are opening up, a couple new restaurants that either have opened or are opening relatively soon. So overall, I think the general consensus is a pretty positive one. But, you know, we're looking for as many opportunities as we can to get people back to Monroe Street.
And a reminder, Monroe Street is celebrating the 10th annual Small Business Saturday in just 2 weeks. You can find out more about that and the other deals being offered around Madison on our website, channel3000.com.
Let's get to weather now. And Gary, things are slowly but surely getting more mild in the weather department.
Yeah, we would have been a little warmer today had it not been for the cloud cover. Take a look at visible cloud track around 1:30 this afternoon. You can clearly see the low clouds that were over Madison and areas off to the east. This area also had snow cover on the ground, whereas to the north and west over toward La Crosse, skies had already turned sunny. Plus, that area didn't have very much in the way of snow cover. So let's take a look at the difference that it has in the temperatures. Right now, we're in the mid-20s here in Madison. Temperatures are still a few degrees warmer out to the west. It was actually in the mid-30s out there earlier this afternoon before the temperatures started to fall. And you can see snow cover has a lot to do with that. There's more snow cover across northern Illinois and parts of southern and eastern Wisconsin than there is to the north and west, although most of the area has at least a little bit of snow on the ground. But here in Madison, we're still running 1,300% above normal. That's because normally at this time of year, we should have 1.2 inches of snow. We've had over 15 inches of snow so far. That puts us way ahead of normal. And because of the snow cover, temperatures have been way below normal. We've had 94 hours consecutively below freezing. That is the longest streak since back in late February and early March of this year. Now, as we take a look at the time lapse from the Platteville-Queeby Radio Skycam, notice the clouds they had this morning. And then as you head in the afternoon, watch how those skies just kind of cleared out. And that clearing will gradually work its way across southern Wisconsin tonight. Live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Things are pretty quiet here, and skies were starting to clear just before sunset. As we check out the almanac for today, high temperature still way below normal, 27 when the average high should be 45. 19 was the overnight low temperature. And right now we're sitting at 26 degrees with partly cloudy skies. The air is calm, so there's no wind chill this hour. 3 things you need to know. The forecast, skies will clear out for tonight. That will lead to slightly cold conditions with high, lows in the upper teens. Tomorrow should be partly sunny and not as cold with temperatures back in the mid-30s, but still that's about 10 degrees below average. And then for the weekend, it'll be cold and cloudy. We could see some light snow, maybe mixed with a little rain Sunday afternoon. But if you take a look at where temperatures have been over the last 48 hours, they've been in the teens and 20s with wind chills at times down around 0. But look at the forecast over the next 48 hours. Temperatures mainly up into the 20s and into the 30s a couple of times. That's good news heading on down the road. Temperatures right now are in the 20s here. But again, you just look out to the west and there's a tease that's out there. Temperatures are in the upper 30s across portions of western Minnesota. That milder air eventually start working its way eastward. Notice how the jet stream is starting to shift off to the east. So the jet stream bulging to the north here is allowing milder Pacific air to start moving eastward across the country. And the chilly weather will start heading out as high pressure eventually shifts off to the east. There's more cold air north of this cold front, but this will take a more southeasterly path than southerly, so it's not going to be a big blast of cold air like the last couple of cold fronts that have driven almost all the way down to the Gulf Coast. And on future track, you can see just a few clouds overnight, and then skies will be partly sunny for tomorrow. That will allow temperatures to get back in the middle 30s. The next weather system out to the west bringing a lot of clouds in, but the precipitation still hanging back to the west. We won't see that until probably Sunday with some light snow showers or maybe a little rain in the afternoon. 18 for the overnight low temperature as skies turn mostly clear overnight. Tomorrow should be a partly sunny day, not as cold as today. High temperature at 36. Every little bit helps. As we check out future track, notice how the skies clear out tonight. Maybe a few clouds toward morning. Low temperatures dropping into the upper teens and lower 20s. Tomorrow, that sunshine will get temperatures back up into the mid 30s, maybe some upper 30s over southwestern Wisconsin. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low temperatures in the lower 20s. And then the clouds move in for the weekend, but Saturday should be dry. High temperatures will be in the middle 30s. There could be a couple of flurries Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then Sunday afternoon, we could see some light snow, maybe mixed a little rain. Then after that, temperatures gradually trend up. We're still looking for highs in the 40s by Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Kind of move that back a day there. And then even into next weekend, some 40s showing up in the 7 to 10 day forecast. Right now, first alert traffic. Here's the view of the belt line to Fish Hatchery Road. Slow going in both directions right now. We're seeing delays on the westbound belt line from Fish Hatchery Road all the way back to Stoughton Road. Eastbound on the belt line looks like delays starting around Monroe Street and heading back to Verona Road. Good news, Verona Road, with the construction being done, things really improving there. Right now, almost a half hour in either direction on the belt line from University Avenue to and from the interstate. As we head out of Madison down to the south, 25 minutes. Quick trip on I-39-90 from the Beltline down to Janesville, 17 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 20 minutes to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue, US 151. That's your News 3 Now First Alert Traffic.
Thank you, Gary.
Still ahead on News 3 Now at 5, the Speaker of the House raises the stakes in the impeachment inquiry, why she's accusing the president of bribery. House prepare for another public impeachment hearing tomorrow. Leaders of both parties are doubling down on their positions. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi leveled new accusations against President Trump a day after the first public impeachment hearing examined his dealings with Ukraine.
The bribe is to grant or withhold military assistance in return for a public statement of a fake investigation.
Republicans elevated their calls to hear from the whistleblower, and the president took to Twitter to do the same. Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, testifies publicly tomorrow. Multiple State Department officials have testified that she was ousted after a smear campaign likely directed by the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani.
The field of candidates vying to challenge President Trump grew by one today after previously rejecting the idea. Former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick has officially declared he is running, making him the 18th candidate currently in the race for the Democratic nomination. Patrick is one of the nation's first black governors. He is positioning himself as a moderate candidate who can bring the country together. Ahead of his announcement, the 63-year-old called his senator, Elizabeth Warren, to tell her that he is running as well.
Frankly, she has the best and most disciplined campaign out there. But I think the actual business of advancing an agenda once elected is a different kind of undertaking.
Polls in the early voting states of Iowa and New Hampshire currently show former Vice President Joe Biden, along with Senators Warren and Bernie Sanders, and South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg leading the crowded field.
Congressman Ron Kind has shaved his head in support of his son. Kind tweeted yesterday that one of his sons started chemotherapy. He said, "One for all for one in this family. We all shaved our heads in solidarity." Congressman Kind says his son is doing well and his prognosis is excellent. We'll have another check of your forecast in just a moment. Stay with us.
Tonight on the CBS Evening News, grief and horror after a deadly shooting rampage at a Southern California high school. What we're learning from witnesses and survivors. Eye on Earth, we're in Venice, a city underwater. Is climate change to blame for the epic floods? And our series, Profiles in Service, the African-American women who solved a huge military logistics problem during World War II. They are heroines. Those stories and more tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And Gary's here now with a final check of the weather.
Well, as skies start to clear out, temperatures will start to drop off. We're at 26 right now in Madison. Most of southern Wisconsin seeing temperatures in the middle 20s. Wind chills aren't too bad. Winds are not very brisk, and they should be fairly light for tonight. Highs will be in the mid-30s for tomorrow with some sunshine. Mid-30s over the weekend, maybe some light snow mixed with a little rain in the afternoon on Sunday. Still looking for highs in the lower 40s the middle of next week. Kind of push that back by a day, but it won't be as cold after that either.
Gary, thanks. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 5. We're back in 30 minutes with more updates.